Alrighty, and we are live. How's it going, Mets and overall baseball fans? Thank you guys all so much for chiming in for the latest post-game show here on WardyNYM. As the Metropolitans come out today, they show some offense, unlike yesterday, and get a much-needed bounce-back win. And now they are only one game away now from securing the series victory in a 4-game set in Miami to start off their 2023 campaign against the Marlins. How's it going, guys? Thank you all so much for chiming in. Greatly appreciate it. Of course, if you guys are new, we cover the Mets after every single game for the most part this year. We're easily going to cover over 100 post-game shows this year, so make sure to smash that like and subscribe button. If you're new or a recurring viewer, greatly appreciate it. But more than anything, voice is low. Let's see. Voice is low. Let me double check. Hold on. Yeah, okay, volume should be good now. Yeah, apologies if my voice was a little low to start. Think we're good now. Let me know in the chat, guys. But more than anything, I want to know to all my live viewers, people on replay, get those W's in the live chat right now, baby. A nice W for the Metropolitans. Again, I felt pretty confident about them going into today. We know that Edward Cabrera is an absolute stud of a young pitcher for the Miami Marlins, but I still had a good feeling heading into this matchup that the Mets, led by, hopefully, their normal guys offensively, but the bomb the order would start to show up, and they certainly did that. Let's see. Is the volume still low? This issue right now. Okay, are we good now? I don't know why it automatically muted on me. I apologize, guys. Again, I'm running a lot of things new now, and I do have a short SM7B, one of those nice podcast mics. For whatever reason, sometimes it goes in and out. The volume should be back now, though. So let me know in the live chat. Tower, you're muted. No, I'm good now, right? I'm good. Again, apologies to the people that are watching a replay. What the heck is going on here? I'm gonna monitor it. So yeah, my apologies. Shout out to the Elgato Wave XLR for being a pain in my neck sometimes. So we're good. We're good. So I don't know what the last thing I said was, but I'll just go with the fact that Tyler McGill today, who again start off as the Mets' number 7 starter heading into the season, already now slotted as the number 3 based on how Buck Showalter's going about this rotation, and with David Pearson as the number 2. Justin Verlander's supposed to be that number 3, but from the Jose Quintana injury to now JV being on the shelf for at least 15 days, McGill will slot in as a number 3 and will be pitching the Mets home opener, in which I'll be at attendance. But McGill came out today and gave us 5 strong innings to keep the Mets in this ball game, and that is exactly what quality pitching depth is. You need to have guys at your number 6, number 7, number 8 starters that can come in and eat you innings at any given night when you need them to, and that's exactly what McGill did. So I'm excited to break down a little bit about his game today, along with the Mets as a whole. Again, final score 6-2. We'll be getting into everything that you need to know from 1 through 9. A lot transpired in this ball game. A lot in the Mets' favor. Some challenges that easily should have went the Mets' way that once again did it, which is, trust me when I say, annoying. But not only for the Mets today, but the baby Mets and the Syracuse Mets came out today and dominated, winning 16-6 over the Red Sox AAA affiliate, led by Brett Beatty, guys. I'm going to keep saying that Brett Beatty never deserved to be sent down. He deserves to be this Mets starting third baseman until proven otherwise. Eddie, again, I'm not going to harp on Eddie not doing much for the first couple games, but I will say this: Brett Beatty looking like a stud, had himself a nice opposite field double, in game 1. Game 2 today, Brett Beatty just casually went 4 for 4 today, had 2 home runs, including a grand slam, 5 RBIs total, stolen bag and a walk. Francisco Alvarez and Mark Vientos went back-to-back with home runs. Ronnie Mauricio had a couple base knocks himself. The entire core group of the young Mets, that 4 of Mauricio, Beatty, Alvarez, and Vientos, all came out to play today, led by Beatty once again, and I'm going to keep beating this damn drum until Beatty is back up with this Mets team, because I wholeheartedly believe he deserves it, and I never believed that he was deserving of being sent down in the first place after having a phenomenal spring. We have some donations. I'll get to them shortly, so again, appreciate you guys. Happy April Fool's Day to you guys, too. That's exactly the reason why the audio cut out. It was totally on purpose, right? But, enough of me dilly-dallying here. I'll get to the donations, and then we'll break down this ball game. I want to get your questions, all that fun stuff, and then we'll get to the player of the game today. But a lot of positives in Mets land as they now look to get their first series victory tomorrow, with Kodai Senga making his MLB debut. And Timmy LaCastro will be starting tomorrow in place for Brendan Nimmo, as he's going to get an off day, the same way that Starling Marte got an off day today. And in doing so, he still came up clutch down the stretch in a pinch hit. And again, this is what Buck Showalter does, especially guys that have been somewhat injury prone, wants to keep them fresh. If it's a 4-game set, especially when you're playing on the type of grass that you have there in the Dome in Miami, he doesn't want guys playing every day in that outfield. Makes sense, and thankfully he didn't hurt the Mets at all by not having Marte start, and he still benefited from this later on in this ball game. So John, hope you're doing well digging Narvaez so far. Me too. I got a lot to say on Omar Narvaez. He had a really, really good game today for the Metropolitans. Already surpassed James McCann and the amount of RBI sac flies he had last year, including one today. I'm joking, only half-heartedly. That's the sad thing. I'm pretty sure I can count the amount of times on my hand McCann had an RBI sac fly last year, but I digress. Matthew Martell with a $2 donation. Thank you so much. Matthew says, Brett Beatty, also LFGM, good wins today. Absolutely, Matthew. Thank you so much for the donation. I appreciate that. We all love Brett the Met. Need him back up. He wasn't only great with the bat today, but made a beautiful diving catch at third to rob a hit. I mean, full air right there. So Brett Beatty, for the guys that say, he doesn't have defense, he does have defense, and he's only getting started. Dave with the $5 holla. Thank you so much. He says, Wardy, why do we have replay if they don't get an obnoxious call right? P was safe and Cooper was clearly off the bag. What's going on? I mean, you hit the nail on the head. The Mets have challenged 2 plays so far in back-to-back days to start the season, right? They lost both challenges, and they should have gone both those challenges, putting all bias aside. The first challenge in game 1 or game 2, whatever it was, you can argue that a little bit more because it was somewhat inconclusive, but there was one angle that showed you that I'm forgetting which Met it was to begin with already. I think it was Nimmo actually yesterday, had his foot down, but of course, they still called it that it was going to be an out. And today, Alonso, Cooper wasn't even touching the bag, but because they're rushing all these things, thanks to, the pitch clock and wanting to move the games faster, that means that they're going to just blatantly get calls wrong. I guess that's what we're dealing with. So am I surprised that umpires of all people are getting calls wrong? No, I'm not. But again, thank you for the donation, Dave. I appreciate that. Guys, I want to know, out of all you in the live chat and for people on replay, what is your biggest takeaway from today's 6-2 Mets victory? Make sure to let me know. But with that being said, let's dive into this ball game because, like I said, there is a heck of a lot to talk about. So I'm going to try to be as fast as I can as we have the highlights rolling there, as you see. So Big Drip McGill gets the start today against Edward Cabrera, a nasty, young, flamethrowing right-hander. Again, the biggest issue with Cabrera in his young career has been that walk rate has been the case for McGill in spring training. Walked like 13 batters that he saw, a good amount of batters that McGill saw in spring. He walked, and that is in part why he lost that rotation spot job to Peterson. So he gets the call up now with JV on the shelf. And again, he wasn't great today. He didn't have his best stuff by any stretch, but McGill kept the Mets in this ball game, and that is very important. But it all starts off there in the first inning with Brendan Nimmo with a leadoff walk, and I tweeted this: if Nimmo is pointing the sky thanking Christ himself to lead off a game, it's going to be a good day, and that held true. Then with 2 outs, Alonso would have walked, but nothing else would transpire there in the top of the first for the Mets offense. We get to the bottom of the first. Oh my goodness. Luis Arias, the reigning AL batting champ, is going to be the biggest pest for the Mets for years to come. What a win-win trade that's already looking for both Miami and the Minnesota Twins. Twins got Pablo Lopez, who helped solidify that rotation, and Arias comes into a Marlins team that desperately needs more offense and strong contact hitters, even though they have a few, and John Birdies of the world, etc. But Arias, all he hit today was Oppo. The guy had 4 hits today, and he didn't pull the ball once. As a baseball lover, I love Arias, is, but as a Mets fan, I despise him now that they're matching up with him each and every year in this division. Arraez starts the day with an opposite field single, the first batter that McGill faces. Soler with a strikeout. Arraez gets to second base on a pass ball. Cooper with a strikeout. Jazz with a walk, but that'll do her. He gets out of that first inning jam unscathed is Tyler McGill. We get to the second. Mark Canha with a double. We're going to talk a lot about Mark Canha shortly. Luis Gourmet with the walk. Omar Narvaez with an RBI sac fly. How you doing? The Mets getting production from the catching position? Who would have thought? Who would have thought that is Omar Narvaez getting off to a nice hot start with the Mets offensively? And I'll say this about Omar Narvaez. Have I been impressed by any stretch with his defense and his game calling ability? No, I haven't. I think that he definitely needs to do some work on the game calling aspect of himself. But when it comes to the offensive side, he's been off to a nice start. You know, if he's going to not be great defensively, okay, it is what it is. Just make up for it with your bat. And he certainly did that today, and I got to give him the tip of the cap for that. Shout out to you, Omar. We get to the bottom of the second because the Mets don't do anything outside that one run in the second. Segura with a strikeout. Sanchez with a walk. Fortes with a did I say two-run? Oh, it was a two-run home. It was a two-run home run. I had walk there. I know that's wrong. Two-run home run there for Fortes, the catcher of the Marlins. And just like that, Miami gets off to an early 2-1 lead on the Mets. Wendell with a strikeout. Arraez with an oppo single, and then that'll do her for the second inning. We head to the third with 2 outs. Alonso with a walk. Nothing else happens. In the bottom of the third, McGill with his first 1-2-3 inning of the day, including 2 strikeouts, starting to settle in a little bit here for Tyler, or at least that's what we think. We get to the fourth. Mark Canha with a walk, then with 2 outs. Omar Narvaez once again drives him in thanks to an opposite field single. Pardon me, he doesn't drive him in. I'm a schmuck for that. He didn't drive him in yet. He just had a nice opposite field single, which was good to see. Nimmo with a walk, Lindor with a strikeout, and that was a bad at-bat by Lindor. For those that were watching at home, I mean, Lindor literally got thrown. Every single pitch was a ball, right? Every single pitch. Could have walked if he just took his first 5 pitches, not even 4. If he took his first 5 pitches, he could have walked. But yeah, it was 3-0 in the count, and then he swung the next 2. Then he got a call, which was, I think, a curveball up high. That was a strike that they somehow called a ball. Umpire froze there. And then the next pitch down in the dirt on the curveball, the breaking ball, and Lindor swings right through it. So Lindor with a terrible at-bat there. Thankfully, he would make up for it a little bit later in the game with the defense and then some offense before the game's conclusion. But that was not a pretty at-bat if you're Francisco Lindor whatsoever. I mean, talk about starting the season, yeah, that looked like a guy who had a little bit of rust on him there on the offensive side of things, because defensively, Lindor has been a stud. We get to the bottom of the fourth with 1 out. Sanchez with an opposite field double. That'll do her, though. We then get to the fifth, and Nardi comes in, the reliever. That is going to be the end of Edward Cabrera's day. Cabrera's final line is 4 innings of 2 hit, 2 earned run ball, 6 walks, and 2 strikeouts. Again, in case you guys know Edward Cabrera and his story, then you would be aware that when he was first brought up in the 2021 season against the Mets, he was a hit-by-pitch machine. He was drilling guys left and right. I remember the Mets, I think, lost that series in August in Miami, too, because I was covering on the channel. But Edward Cabrera, who had a lot of hype, didn't look good in 2021 in his small sample size. Last year in a bigger sample size, very sharp, but still 4 walks per 9. And again, he walked 6 batters in 4 innings. This is something that he needs to work on. Nasty to Arsenal, but as we know with a lot of high flame-throwing right-hand starters, they can walk quite a bit. So he needs to shore that up. As a Mets fan, I hope that doesn't happen. As a baseball fan, I wish him well. But with that being said, Nardi comes in, and the Mets start to tack on here. Jeff McHits, more like Jeff McDoubles, gets himself a double there. And then Alonso with an RBI double. The Mets go back-to-back, and the McDoubles there to give the Mets now a tied ball game, 2-2. Vogelback with a ground out, and then Mark Canha with an RBI opposite field bloop single to now give the Mets lead 3-2. We then head to the bottom of the 5th inning. Arraez with another, you guessed it, opposite field single. Then with 2 outs, Jazz with a double, De La Cruz with a ground out, and that is all thanks to Francisco Lindor drilling De La Cruz out at first to end the inning. That would be McGill's final inning. Again, he goes with 5 innings, 6 hits, 2 earned runs, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts, and 1 home run allowed on 93 pitches. McGill starts his 2023 campaign with the Metropolitans with a 3.6 ERA. Everybody in the live chat, people in the comments, I want to know, what is your biggest takeaway, not from this game specifically, but also from Tyler McGill? How did you feel about his outing? A lot of people on social media, per usual, ragging this guy early, but I'm like, for a guy who literally was supposed to start the year as a Mets number 7, just gave you 5 strong innings, you have no reason to complain whatsoever. And I'm not just saying this because I'm a McGill fan. I had the privilege of meeting Tyler back in spring training. I'm really good friends with his parents. But all that aside, McGill put up exactly the type of outing that you'd hope you get from a guy that initially had no expectation of impacting this Mets rotation to begin the 2023 season. And now he's surely going to have an impact, especially with the Mets having strong aspirations and belief of going with a 6-man up points this year to make sure their Verlanders, their Scherzers, their Sengas, etc. stay healthy. Even Cookie, because he's still on load management sometimes with that elbow. So no less, we're going to need McGill this season for sure, especially with Quintana being out for, I'd imagine, a good majority of the season. So for all those reasons, Tyler, thank you for a solid outing today. We hope to see more of that. Just got to short things up. Was very curveball heavy. That's his new pitch that he's been working with a lot. It looks sharp, but the fastball, the slider, not as sharp as what we've seen. The changeup didn't look great today either. So just things that he needs to fine-tune in his arsenal. And that's exactly why he was expected to start the year in AAA, and is exactly why David Pearson initially won that rotation battle over him entering the season. But I digress. Let's advance forward in this ballgame, shall we? Because in the 6th inning with 1 out, WardyNYM rips a single, and you saw that with your own eyes. He stole a base. Now, WardyNYM is a really interesting story to follow this year, folks, because he's a guy that's normally not going to be running. You know, he didn't run at all in the first half of last year, and when he did finally start to steal bags in the second half of last year, in the final couple months, he got hurt shortly after in doing so, right? So it's one of those things that Nimmo has really been, standoffish in doing. Not that he doesn't have the speed nor the ability, but just because he doesn't want to risk injury. Today, however, decided, you know what, I'm going to go and steal a bag, and he was fine. So especially with the enlarged bases and knowing that the ability to steal bags are at an all-time high now for the first time in a long time, with the ability to only throw to first base a couple times if you don't tag the guy out there, then he can get as big of a lead as he wants, because if you don't tag him one more time, then he will get second base without a problem. So Nemo's going to be a very interesting story to watch this year regarding how much is he going to run first to second, trying to steal that. I mean, it's going to be a fascinating one for sure to make sure that he stays fresh and healthy. But I was taken back to see him running. Even Lindor, when he struck out on that play too, I think he was taken back too. He's like, okay, Brandon, I guess I didn't pick up the call there. I wasn't aware, but Nimmo gets a stolen bag. Nothing happens there in the 6th. In the bottom of the 6th, Dennis Santana, who we did a video on a couple of weeks ago, has over 10,000 views. Check it out if you haven't already. Dennis Santana was a waiver claim picked up by the Mets earlier this spring, just a couple of weeks ago, less than a month ago now. And he has no minor league options left, so he had to impress right away, or he would be on waivers, probably picked up by another team before he would potentially hit Syracuse. And Santana cracks this Mets bullpen in part with Diaz and other injuries going on. And he impressed, though, and today he had himself a 1-2-3 inning with 2 strikeouts. High velo on the fastball, has a nasty slider, gives me Miguel Castro vibes, as I'll be saying plenty this year. Not on the look, but not even on the stature, because Castro's like 6'7". I think Santana's 6'1", 6'2". But very similar arsenals is what I see there. Again, a little erratic with the control, but again, if Jeremy Hefner can get him right, like we're seeing thus far, then the Mets have found themselves a diamond in the rough pickup for their bullpen. So yeah, let me know how you feel about Dennis Santana. Very nice first outing for him in a Mets uniform officially that is in spring training. Then from there, we get to the 7th inning. Pete Alonso would be out, and this is where the controversy would ensue. Another play where Harrison Friedland, the Mets replay guy, who was phenomenal last year with the Mets, that's the reason why the Mets were the number 1 team in challenges last year, lost their first challenges here. Try again, because you look at replay and you see that Cooper at first base for the Marlins isn't even touching the bag at all. Okay, should be easy call, right? Easy call. That's going to be overturned in the Mets' favor. That Alonso got an infield hit. Nope. So I don't know what's going on here. Am I surprised that MLB officiating has got awful to start the season? No, farthest thing from it. So I'm not going to go on too much of a rant there. I'm not even going to say fix your shit, because the bar is so low when it comes to MLB officiating. I don't know what else to say at this point. It's ridiculous, and it's actually laughable. I was cracking up laughing. I'm like, you have to be royally stupid or just not giving a shit to mess up that bad on how horrendous of a call that was, to challenge it, review it from multiple angles, and still come to the conclusion that, yes, this is still going to be out somehow, some way. I don't know if this is favoritism to the Marlins because they hosted the WBC or what, but all I know is that it's nonsense. From there, we get a solo bomb from Marcana, who says, "Umps, how you doing? I don't care. I'm taking you dead center." Jazz tried to get it. Couldn't. Marcana with a phenomenal day at the plate that I'll talk about more shortly. Gets a solo bomb to increase the Mets' lead. We get to the bottom of the 7th. Drew Smith comes in, cruises through the first 2 batters, but doesn't even get out of the inning without being pulled. Soler with a walk, Cooper with a bloop opposite field single. Then Brooks Raley comes in and does exactly what you expect to from Brooks Raley. Gets a key out, lefty on lefty. Jazz Chisholm grounds out, and that'll do her for the 7th inning. Shout out Brooks Raley coming in situational. What I like to see. I'm really, really excited about Brooks Raley this year. Has now pitched himself 1.1 scoreless innings to start his Mets tenure. We get to the 8th. Well, 1 out. Omar Narvaez with a single. Really, really sharp with Narvaez today. So happy with how he performed offensively. Lindor with a double, his first of the day. It's about time. Wasn't looking good with his at-bats at all. Defense was huge, though, per usual. That's why he is the best defensive shortstop in baseball. McGill would have ground out, would then end the inning, unfortunately. We get to the bottom of the 8th. Ottavino comes in with 1 out. Segura with a single. Fortes with a single. Wendell with a strikeout. Ends it. And then we get to the 9th inning. Pete Alonso with a base knock. Tommy Pham with his first hit as a Metropolitan goes opposite field. Marte with a pinch hit RBI double. And that was huge too, because Marte, again, didn't even start the day. There were already people complaining. It cracks me up. People on Twitter are complaining that Marte wasn't starting today. It's almost like this guy is still coming off of a recent surgery, is in his mid-30s, and you need him healthy down the stretch. Like, yes, surely making sure that he plays every day of a 4-game set against the Marlins is more important than making sure that he's 100% healthy in the second half of the season, entering postseason, hopefully. Like, what are we doing here? But, no less. He comes in, gets a gapper opposite field. That is awesome. Starling Marte, I love you, star-studded Starling. And that'll do it. Eduardo Escobar strikes out. Again, not a good start to the season for Eddie. Through his first 3 games, is batting a cool .083, while Brett Beatty's basically batting .600 or whatever. But again, I'll leave it at that. We get to the bottom of the 9th. Robertson comes in, and he shuts the door. Not before, though, however. Arias gets an opposite field single for his 4th hit of the day. All oppo, ridiculous hitter. Thankfully, though, we get a beautiful double play ball not long after, and that does it for the ball game. David Robertson with his 2nd save in as many attempts as a New York Met this year. Mets win by a final score of 6-2. And the biggest takeaways, again, aside from what you saw in Canna, Narvaez, McGill eating those innings for you. Dennis Santana with that clean inning. Drew Smith, again, wasn't great, but thankfully didn't surrender anything. Rarely Ottavino. Everyone did their jobs today. And throughout the Mets lineup, let's go through this quick before I get to the player of the game and answer some more of your comments before we get out of here. Brandon Nimmo today, 1 for 3. And this will be something I know you guys probably seen the graphic down below of showing all the scores and the stats there, but I will be having a separate graphic in the coming days that will be live updated for you guys that shows the Mets lineup each day. I just don't have it yet, but I will soon. Nimmo, 1 for 3 today with 2 walks. Francisco Lindor, 1 for 5 with a double and 2 strikeouts. Jeff McHitz with 1 for 5 thanks to the McDouble, a run scored. Pete Alonso, 2 for 3 today. Got on base 4 times thanks to a double, an RBI, 2 walks, and 2 runs scored. Daniel Vogelback was 0 for 4 today and the DH spot in his strikeout. Tommy Pham 1 for 1 pinch hitting today, his first hit as a New York Met. Mark Canha 3 for 4 with the home run, the 2 RBIs, the 3 runs scored, and the walk. Luis Gourmet 0 for 3 today, starting at second base with McNeil and right, and that's why we love McNeil's diversity when it comes to his defensive ability. He's able to go wherever you need him to, including right field there today in place of Marte. Eduardo Escobar 0 for 5 today with a strikeout. Omar Narvaez 2 for 4 today with 2 RBIs. Love that Omar. Batting a nice .429, 873 OPS. Doesn't mean much to start the year. No, not at all, but it's a good start. So drum roll, please. I don't think it should take a rocket scientist again to figure out who is today's number 1 star. A lot of you guys predicted it, and again, there's a reason for it. He's on the thumbnail. Mark Canha, how you doing? Clutch Canha, baby. 3 for 4 today, just looked phenomenal. And it was funny. I was yesterday in the show that some people, again, have the audacity to call Canha a bum. It's not like he had career highs in almost every statistic of his career last year. He's an on-base percentage type king. He's not known for his power, but he hit just under 20 home runs last year. And now he has a bomb in his 3rd game of the season. He may hit career highs and bombs this year too, depending on his depending on how much he's going to be utilized. And he gets on base all the time because he's a hit by pitch. He's a ball magnet. Love me some some Mark Hanna, Marky Cheerios, Clutch Canna, however you want to call him. He is my player of the game with honorable mentions going to Omar Narvaez, Starling Marte with that clutch hit, and Tyler McGill being a bulldog and eating 5 solid innings for you. So yeah, Mark Hanna, 3 for 4 with the home run, the 2 RBIs. I think that's deserving. And if I did a minor league option today too, then it would easily be Brett the Met, who we discussed. 4 hits today, 2 home runs, the Grand Salami, 2 home runs, as I said, 5 RBIs. I mean, a stolen base, a walk. What didn't Brett Beatty do today? And that entire minor league team for the Metropolitans. So Can of Corn, I love that name too. So if you guys agree with my player of the game today, awesome. If you don't, let me know why in the live chat in their comments below. And guys, if you're first chiming in, make sure to smash that like and subscribe button. Really does mean a lot. We cover every single Metropolitan game for the most part, which is what is going to be a roller coaster, but more than anything, a fun, entertaining 2023 year to cover this Mets team. So I hope you guys can be a part of it. We're going to be taking live callers plenty this year, so stay tuned for that. We're going to have special guests each week for post-game shows and so much more. So if you guys are interested in everything that we're doing on the channel and aren't opting in yet, then make sure to do so while you still can. And as always, it's greatly appreciated. So Mark Hanna is your player of the game today. So my big question to everybody now is, the Mets have a game tomorrow. They're looking for the series victory against the Miami Marlins. Kodai Senga is on the bump. What is your prediction for Kodai Senga tomorrow? I think that's a fair question, right? Because talking about an unknown, he is an unknown in Kodai Senga. We don't know what we're going to get. We know he has high life on the velo with the fastball. We know he has the ghost fork in his back pocket used for whatever, which is just a nasty split change, right? So we're excited to see that. It's about the control with him, seeing how Hefner works him, and him getting acclimated to the MLB level. So I'm curious, what are your predictions for Kodai Senga's MLB debut tomorrow? Let me know in the live chat. For people on replay, let me know down below too. Shout out to my man Derek at NYY Recaps. I appreciate the compliment. Really, really does mean a lot. Yeah, we have more that I'm going to be adding in the coming days too. So I'm glad you like it, man. Thank you so much. If you guys don't know, and if you guys are willing to watch Yankees content, I know that might be a vast few of you, consider we are Mets fans here, but for all my overall baseball fans that like to follow content creators of other teams, make sure to check out Derek at NYY Recaps. When I tell you that he's far and away the best Yankees content creator out there, I'm not exaggerating. I mean, no one even sniffs what Derek does on a daily basis, and he's been a huge inspiration for myself and others when it comes to post-game shows. Cannot say enough good things about him. If you want quality content for the Yankees, and especially Subway Series time, when you want to see a Yankees fan point of view, make sure you check out NYY Recaps. I mean, enough said. Just phenomenal job Derek does on a daily basis. He's a workhorse. Bring up Beatty. I agree with you, yo. Absolutely. Let's see. Dave says 5 innings of 1-run ball is what he's hoping for, or expecting rather, with Senga. 4-hitter and a win, and Marlins are garbage, says Neil, the Braves fan. I always appreciate when Braves fans come in here, or fans of opposing teams in general, that are being respectful. I really do appreciate that, so thank you. Enrique, a longtime supporter here, says 8 innings, 11 strikeouts, 3 hits, 1 run on a homer, 6 innings of 1 hit ball and 10 strikeouts, says Carlos. Oh my goodness, you guys are saying your expectations damn high. I hope you're not going to be too disappointed. Nothing lost by being optimistic and good vibes only for Senga. Absolutely. I can't say your name. I know you're a member on the channel. What's Mugunwa? I probably butchered that. I apologize, but I appreciate you. Let's see here. Let's see what you guys think about Senga tomorrow. Let me go through more or less. Senga will pitch 5 innings, give up 2 runs, walk 3 batters, and strike out 5. I think that might be the most realistic one that we've seen yet. Not that I wish Senga to have a bad outing or, give up runs or anything of that nature, but I think for me, my expectation is hoping that we get a solid 6 innings out of Senga would be ideal. 6 innings out of Senga of 2 earned run ball, tops, 6 strikeouts, 2 walks, I think's realistic and very feasible. But again, we'll see. The walk rate is really where I'm going to be curious with Senga, because again, he's still getting acclimated. The biggest issue that he had overseas is that walk rate. I mean, even when he was on, he still struggled with that walk rate. Was solid last year, a little over 2 walks per 9, but throughout his career, teetering around the 3.5 to 4 walks per 9. So it's going to be interesting to see how Jeremy Hefner gets him right, if at all. And more than anything, just seeing him make his debut, see what the life is with the velo on that fastball, the ghost fork, everything else that he has in his arsenal, because he's working on multiple pitches as well, with the cutter, with the slider. Like, there's a lot of it to be excited about. And I think regardless on win or lose tomorrow, I'm just excited to see Senga finally make his long-awaited Mets debut. So it's going to be a lot. It's going to be a treat to watch. It's at 1:40 p.m. Eastern tomorrow, early bird day for Sunday, which is usually the case. So Yeah, we'll see how Kodai Senga does tomorrow. I appreciate everyone's predictions here. Leroy says 3 runs on 6 hits and 6 innings. Let's see. You'll never see a no-hitter again with this pitch clock. I disagree. I definitely think we will, but yes, it'll be far more difficult. 100%. Again, the MLB is trying to influence as much offense as humanly possible, so I'm not shocked by this. But yeah, pitchers, there will be some pitchers that benefit from the pitch clock, in the Max Scherzers of the world, but they will also get gassed early, and we kind of saw that in Max's first start. Cruised through 5, and then really was dripping sweat more than usual by the time he got there in that 6th inning, in Miami. And I know it's humid in that stadium. Was there a couple weeks ago for the WBC, so I get it. But the point still stands that it's going to benefit some pitchers, and it's really going to hurt a lot of pitchers too. Because naturally, when you're working with a pitch count like this, pitch clock rather, guys are going to be hating some stuff. They're going to be missing with location, worried about just getting the ball released from their fingers in time to get to the catcher and home plate. So, yeah, I mean, the pitch clock is going to be fascinating to watch this year, how it benefits pitchers and how it hurts pitchers too. I truly do believe, not that I wish it, but I do believe that there will be a spike in pitcher injuries. I said this in my previous shows too. I just think that's inevitable with guys not fully acclimated to this and what it brings and how much it's going to hurt a lot of these guys. Oh, goodness, Tampa absolutely decimated Detroit Tigers today. I'm just looking at the live scores like all you guys in the bottom right now. My goodness gracious, they smoked him. Houston continuing to roll. They won their first series against the White Sox because I think it was a 3-game set. Not going to go over all those stats. Just it's actually nice to have my own scoreboard down there and follow along with you guys on all the other games going on in MLB. Let's see here what comments you got for me, and then we'll advance a little bit forward. We'll probably wrap things up in the next 10 minutes or so, guys. So I will be taking your questions for people on replay. If you're interested, just see me answer questions. By all means, make sure you're watching along. If not, make sure that, you drop a like, subscription. If you enjoyed the content, let me know your biggest takeaways from today's 6-2 victory in the comments below once more. And I appreciate you watching as always, but we're going to continue on for another 10 plus minutes before we get out of here, as I always love and enjoy answering your questions to my north of 300 live viewers. Again, happy Saturday to you all, guys. I hope everyone's been having a nice weekend so far. I know that I have, and I'm just looking forward to seeing how Senga does tomorrow. And then before you know it, we'll have another podcast either tomorrow night or the following day, early Monday, and then getting set for that series in Milwaukee before the inevitable home opener next Thursday with Tyler McGill back on the bump. And I will be in attendance, so I hope to see you guys there. We may be having a big giveaway come on the channel tomorrow in the coming days, so stay tuned for that as well. And by tomorrow, I meant Monday, not Sunday. My mistake. Is it wrong to think it would benefit the Mets if Escobar got hurt for? Yes, it is wrong. It is wrong. I don't wish Escobar injury at all, because here's what I'll say. Do I want Eduardo Escobar to be the starting third baseman right now? No, I genuinely do not. I think it's Beatty's time. I think he's ready. Having said that, it doesn't mean that I want Eduardo off this team. I don't. I'm all aboard with Eddie being given opportunities in that DH spot and as a utility guy. I think Escobar can get plenty of playing time still based on matchups, while giving Beatty really the leash there at third base. Beatty doesn't need to start every game at third base either. There will be some games where Eddie could come in, so I just think with how this roster is constructed, it's still in a world where it could benefit having Beatty and Escobar both on this roster. And there's some bias, obviously, because I feel that Beatty is unbelievably deserving of that starting role. But just because Beatty would be here doesn't mean that Escobar can't be, at least for this season. Then Eddie's contract is done at the end of the year. Let's see. Nimmo's not a leadoff hitter. I mean, that's just asinine. He's literally one of the most consistent leadoff hitters in baseball with getting on base. I mean, unless you want your leadoff hitter to be a Kyle Schwarber just hitting bombs and hitting, just over 200 on the average, then okay. But a normal leadoff hitter is to get on base, and that's exactly what he does. Do I have to enlighten you that he got himself on base 3 times today? That's, with all due respect, that's a silly comment. I mean, Nimmo is fantastic for what he is, and that is a leadoff hitter. What do you expect Verlander to come back? As soon as he is done with his 15-day IL stint. I don't expect it to be much longer than that. So he will realistically probably miss 3 starts is what I'd imagine, based on how everything is aligning right now. Which, again, is fine. If you're going to miss starts, by all means, rather it now. Just want to make sure he's healthy down the stretch, But of course, if you're spending $40 million on a guy that just won the Cy Young, I do want to see him get at least 25 starts this year. So that's something to be said too. Do you think Alonso could DH and we get Christian Walker from D-backs? Nope, not a chance. Mets are not going to move Alonso from the first base position. Whether it's the right or wrong move, it's not going to happen. 4 minutes of WrestleMania for all you WrestleMania fans. Yes, I got FAU versus San Diego State on for the Final Four right now. 2 FAUs up by 5. And UConn tonight got for my parlay. Let's go UConn. Would have thrown FAU in there too, but I honestly didn't get the chance. They were underdog area today, and they've had a Cinderella story. Also, shout out to my buddy Mike at Stark Ravens Sports. If you guys know him, has over 130,000 subscribers. Great baseball channel. Mike, good friend of mine, was with him in Florida a couple weeks ago for spring training and WBC. Big Mets fan, and he went to FAU. So he's been absolutely ecstatic this entire time following along with their Cinderella run right now. Let's see here. Trade Vogie and bring up Beatty. I don't think that is what it's going to take. Could I see a world where Vogelback is traded? Yeah, for sure. But I don't think that it'll be because of the back end of bringing up Beatty, personally. Let's see. Wardy, I will be at the game tomorrow. Want some video? Yeah, Leroy, by all means, tweet it out for sure. Yeah, I'll definitely check it out. Yeah, but, just enjoy the game more than anything. I hope you have a fantastic time, my friend. It's that Marlins outfield grass, bad on the legs. That's why Nimmo's off tomorrow, according to Buck. Exactly. And again, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure these things out, but Mets fans naturally need something to complain about on a daily basis, even if they have a blowout 10-0 win. That's the nature of the game. I've been dealing with it we started the channel in December 2020. It's not, I deal with interesting comments on a daily basis from all you amazing fans out there, the good, the bad, and the ugly. It cracks me up, though. It does, when we're complaining this early in the season, when in reality it only benefited the Mets by having Marte not start today and come in to pinch it and then get an RBI double, a ground roll double, like whatever. Wardy, I'm going to shoot the game. Yeah, I just from behind the plate. If you're going to be behind the plate, by all means, Leroy, yeah, just tweet it out for sure. I'll check it out, my man. Verlander on, let's see. So he will open on the road. Not certain. It all depends on how the Mets feel once his 15-day IL stint is done. So don't take what I'm saying regarding JV as a guarantee. This is just my opinion right now. Let's relax on Beatty. Minor league pitching is minor. While that may be true, I think there is something to be said when you absolutely take full advantage of being in a starting role for the majority of spring and you're still not gifted what Volpe, what Walker were, etc. Young studs of their own right for separate teams. When in reality, yes, the Mets have Escobar. That's the only reason why they didn't bring Beatty up right now. But to suggest that they would be rushing him or something would be silly at this point. Last year, they rushed him, for sure. But he has already come quite a bit away on him working on his defensive abilities, being ready for the bigs, handling more MLB caliber pitching, looking fantastic in spring, taking every advantage, given to him, every opportunity he took full advantage of. I think that deserves some credit. And now him, of course, off to a hot start in spring. I'm not surprised. So, will I ever do a broadcast with Mets fans? I do plan to do a handful of them this year. Not a lot, Stoney, but from time to time, depending on the game and the significance, yes, the goal is to do a handful of them this year for sure. Post-game shows are just the constant because it's the most appealing to the viewer, especially because I want to listen to GKR far more than do my own broadcast and worry about a live chat the entire time while also making sure I have my full focus on a game. It's not as easy as you think, and I much rather evaluate a game by watching it fully and then breaking it down from there with all you guys after the game and share raw reactions, because as soon as when we do the watch parties, while they're fun, as soon as I'm done doing them, the shelf life of that is already gone. The amount of Mets fans or baseball fans that have interest in watching a watch party that goes, 2.5, 3 hours long with a normal baseball game is pretty much gone for the most part once that game is concluded. Post-game shows at least have a shelf life of a 24 to 48 hour span, depending on when the Mets play their next game. So today it's a little less than that, obviously, because they have a 140 game tomorrow, but the point stands. Mike, yeah, I just answered that, Jason. I just answered that question for you. Let's see. That's the grass that took Diaz out. It is. Granted, I don't think the grass is at fault for that one, as it is just his knee just going. But yeah, I get what you're saying. LGM Emergency Room, appreciate you chiming in. But yeah, guys, final takeaways before I get out of here. A nice comeback win, bounce back win, rather, I should say, about this Mets team. Canna, Narvaez, McNeil, Alonso, a good portion of this offense actually stepped up today. They had a total of 12 hits. Mets had an expected batting average of just under 300 today. That's what we like to see. Happy with Dennis Santana's first outing as a Met as a reliever. Just a lot of positives today. More than anything, how damn refreshing is it to have not one but two catchers that can actually hit the baseball a couple times? I've always been infatuated with left-hand hitting catchers. Even when Michael Perez had his little stint with the Mets last year, because the Mets were so desperate for offensive production from the catching position late in summer last year. Perez is still with the Mets, by the way, just in AAA right now. There's something very appealing as a left-hand hitting catcher that I like, or even a switch hitter like Keibert Ruiz, who's nasty for the Nationals. And I like Narvaez. I like the bat-to-ball skills. I know that he's going to go through his ebbs and flows. I know he's going to be god-awful at stretches throughout the year because he's not known for being a stud hitter. But already off to a better start than James McCann. Already going higher than our initial expectations, unlike McCann, who not even for a week. Actually, I shouldn't say that. McCann had a stretch last year in Pittsburgh where he hit. And that was pretty much the entirety of his Mets tenure. Narvaez is already on another level. And that's something that I'm very happy to see and hopefully continues. The only thing that I will say regarding Narvaez is I want to see that defense be better. Some of his pitch selection, I don't know how much at fault he is, or the pitcher in McGill, or Scherzer when he gave up the bomb the other day in the Mets home opener. It was a fastball right down the pipe. What are we doing there? There was no need for that pitch selection, and yet it was selected. Narvaez today, kind of same thing. Didn't like the pitch selection. That led to Fortes just ripping that home run. I don't know who is at fault more so between himself and McGill, because the pitchers now can really call their own games. Scherzer's a great example of that, using the pitch comm and just saying, I'm doing this. You're going to have to agree with me. If you disagree, I'm just going to hit the button again. So pitchers have more control in their arsenal now more than ever. Having said that, however, I do want to see things get better on the Narvaez front. And I think throughout the year defensively, he's probably going to be underwhelming. I don't expect him to be anything special. Nito will definitely carry the weight between the two in that regard. But offensively, we do certainly have better expectations for just driving guys in. An RBI sack fly. It's crazy how low the bar was to see something like that. Just for Narvaez put the bat to ball to get it in the air to lift that thing. If that was McCann, that was an easy strikeout or a McDouble play or a ground out. It was nothing other than those three things. So it was certainly refreshing to see the ball actually get out a little bit and for him to hit for opposite field too. That's very nice. So having said that though, guys, I think this is going to be a great time to wrap things up. I want to thank you all so much once again for watching. Stay tuned. We'll be back at it for our final post-game show of the series, more than likely tomorrow. Some chance we won't cover the game tomorrow. I'll keep you guys updated, but the goal right now is that we will. Senga on the bump. Timmy LaCastro making his first start as a Metropolitan center field, filling in for Nimmo, who will get a day's rest. Might come in a pinch hit later in the game, and this will be against the Southpaw Trevor Rogers, who's trying to have a bounce-back season after a putrid 2022 campaign with Miami. Thank you.